Okay, so for number 14, we want to solve these two equations. This top one is kind of like the last one we did, so let's start with that one. Y equals x minus 2 squared plus 4. That's the same thing as y equals x minus 2 times x minus 2 plus 4. So I'm going to leave a little space here. So first we're going to multiply the first terms. We get x squared. Then the outer terms, we get minus 2x. The inner terms, we get another minus 2x. And the last terms, we get plus 4. And then this plus 4 also carries down. So when we simplify that, we get x squared minus 4x plus 8. And that's our parabola. So A is 1, B is negative 4, C is 8. First we got to do our axis of symmetry before our table here. Axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a. That equals negative 4 over 2 times 1. That's 4 over 2. It's 2. So x equals 2 is the axis of symmetry. Now we'll do our table. xy. 2 is in the middle. I do 3 below and 3 above. So I have x minus 2 squared plus 4. I go to my table, and for negative 1 at the top, there. So I got 13, 8, 5, 4, 5, 8, 13. Okay, parabola is done. Now we still have to rearrange this linear equation. Okay, so we have, I'm going to rewrite it, 4x plus 2y equals 14. So first I'm going to subtract 4x to get the 2y by itself on the left side. So 2y equals, I'm going to put the negative 4x first, plus 14, and then we got to divide everything by 2 to get the y by itself. So we have y equals negative 2x plus 7. So our m is negative 2 and our b is 7. Draw our x and y axis. Okay. So we have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. And we also have to draw our scale. And we're going by ones in each direction. Okay. Now, we could start graphing. So I'm going to start with the axis of symmetry, which is at x equals 2. I'm going to put it right on here. Axis of symmetry is x equals 2. So I'm going to plot my vertex first at 2, 4. And then I'm going to plot the rest of my points. I'm going to do 1, 5, and 3, 5. 0, 8, and 4, 8. Negative 1, 13, and 5, 13. Put the equation, y equals x minus 2 squared plus 4. Plot my line. My b is 7, which is not on the graph, okay? Which does not cross that parabola yet. So now my slope is negative 2. That's negative 2 over 1. So down 2 and to the right 1. There's one point of intersection. Looks like we're only going to have one. I can also go up 2 and to the left 1. Okay. Looks like we're just grazing the parabola. So we're tangent. Hopefully you remember that word. We're tangent to the parabola. Right at that point. So at 1, 5 in quadrant 1. Let's take a look and make sure that we're right here. Alright, so now I can't put in 4x plus 2y equals 14, so I put in the simplified version of my equation, which was negative 2x plus 7. Now I can hit graph, but I like to go to zoom z square. Now it looks like it only hits once also, so let's take a look at the table. So where x is 1, the y's are equal. Okay, and I'm not seeing that case anywhere else on here, which is good. So it doesn't look like it touches anywhere else. Let's also check our intersect. Okay, look, see, it doesn't want to tell me 1, 5, but you can't get much closer to 1 and 5 than that, so you can be pretty sure that you're right. Okay? Let's check it by hand to be 100% sure that we're right. One comma 5. First we're going to check it in y equals x minus 2 squared plus 4. 5 equals 1 minus 2 squared plus 4. 5 equals negative 1 squared plus 4. 5 equals 1 plus 4. 5 equals 5. Good. Now let's check the point 1 comma 5 in 4x plus 2y equals 14. 4 times 1 plus 2 times 5 equals 14. 4 plus 10 equals 14. 14 equals 14, and it checks. Okay. That is the end of number 14. Okay? Let's put that page aside. Take out the next sheet. Let's look for the center here. No, we can go with either one. I'll go with that line. And we're on number 15. Solve the following system of equations graphically. 2x squared minus 4x equals y plus 1, and we have x plus y equals 1. Okay? So I'm going to deal with the first one, and I'm going to get that into the proper form. So I have 2x squared minus 4x equals y plus 1. Okay? So I want the y by itself, so what I'll do is I'll subtract 1 from both sides. That will give me 2x squared minus 4x minus 1 equals y. Alright, and that's fine. It doesn't matter that the y is on the right side. I could have it on the right or the left. So this one is the parabola. So this is my A, this is my B, and this is my C. Now let's find the axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a, which equals negative 4 over 2 times 2, which equals 4 over 4, which is 1. So x equals 1 is my axis of symmetry. So in my chart, 1 is going to be my middle value, and I'll go 3 below it and 3 above it. Okay, so 2x squared minus 4x minus 1. I have to put in this one because it has to be y equals when you plug it into this calculator. So I'll table, and I want to go to negative 2, so I have 15, 5, negative 1, negative 3, negative 1, 5, 15. Okay. Let's clean up our linear equation. Subtract x from both sides, and we get y equals, I'll put the negative x first and the plus 1 second, so our m is negative 1 and our b is 1. So this one was our linear. Nothing is squared. Okay? Y x quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. 1, 1, negative 1, negative 1. Now, axis of symmetry is x equals 1. That's a vertical line that goes through 1 on the x-axis, but we draw it dashed for the axis of symmetry. Let's write on it. Axis of symmetry, x equals 1. Now let's plot our parabola. I'll start with the vertex at 1, negative 3. Then we have 0, negative 1, and 2, negative 1. Then we have negative 1, 5, and 3, 5. And we have negative 2, 15. And we have 4, 15. Okay, so this is a long one. This is not going to be easy to draw well, I don't think. But you just do the best you can. Okay, so the equation is 2x squared minus 4x equals y plus 1. Now let's graph the line, which is goes through 1, and my slope is negative 1, which is over 1, so it's down 1 and to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1, and up 1 and to the left, up 1 and to the left. Alright, so this is going to be interesting, because we can't exactly see, we see one definite point, but we can't be sure where that next point is. We're going to have to use the calculator for this problem. So let's put x plus y equals 1. Alright. So let's circle one of the points, and let's circle the other point, even though we don't know exactly where it is yet. Okay? So what we need to do is use the calculator. I have my first one in, now I got to put my second one in, which is negative x plus 1. And I got to go to my table. Well, I can first do graph. Okay? And it looks good. Now let's go to our table. Now this point over here, which is 2, negative 1, is one of the answers. And that's in quadrant 4. Now it crosses also up here in quadrant 2, which we can't see, right? Because this is going by ones. So maybe if we change it, maybe it's halfway in between. Maybe if we change our table, our x, you see how it goes up by ones in the x? We can make that go up by a half. We can make it go up by whatever we want. You hit second window to go to table set and change your delta table. Let's change it to 0.5. Let's go back to our table. Now we're looking in between 0 and negative 1 in the x. So, here it is. You can see it right here. You see how that the two y values are the same? So our second point of intersection is at negative 0.5 or negative 0.5, comma, 1.5. And that's in quadrant 2. 2. So you could not have solved this problem without the calculator. Okay, so now what we do is we want to double check that. So we go to second trace to go to calculate, and we go to intersect. And we want to put our cursor near that left intersection point, our blinking cursor. Then I hit enter, enter, enter. And there it is, negative 0.5 and 1.5. So let's check the other point now. Enter, enter, enter. 2, negative 1. Alright, so we just have to do our final check. Okay. So first let's check 2 comma negative 1 in the quadratic equation. 2x squared minus 4x equals y plus 1. Alright, so I have 2 times 2 squared minus 4 times 2 equals negative 1 plus 1. 2 squared is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8, so we have 8 minus 4 times 2 is 8 equals negative 1 plus 1 is 0, and 0 equals 0. So that checked. Now I'm going to do the linear equation for the same point underneath this one. So I have 2 plus negative 1 equals 1, 1 equals 1. So that checks. Now let's check our other point. We have negative 0.5, whoops, comma 1.5. And first we're going to check it in 2x squared minus 4x equals y plus 1. 2 times negative 0.5 squared minus 4 times negative 0.5 equals 1.5 plus 1. Now, let's do negative 0.5 squared on our calculator just to check this. It's 0.25. And we got to multiply that by 2. It's 0.5. So this whole thing on the left here comes to 0.5, and then we have a minus 4 times a negative 0.5, so that should be a positive 2, but let's just check it. Positive 2. So we have 0.5 plus 2 equals 2.5. 2.5 equals 2.5. So that checks out. Now let's do the same thing, but for the linear equation. So we have negative 0.5 plus 1.5 equals 1. And that's true. 1 equals 1. Let's just clean this up. Okay. So that's number 15. Let's move on to the other side, where we're going to do number 16. Solve. the following system of equations graphically. This time we have y equals x minus 2 squared minus 3, and we have 2y plus 16 equals 4x. So let's start with our first one. Y equals x minus 2 squared minus 3, which is just y equals x minus 2 times x minus 2 minus 3, which is y equals, we multiply first terms, we're doing FOIL, x squared, we multiply outer terms, minus 2x, inner terms, minus 2x, and last terms, plus 4, and then we still have minus 3. So y equals x squared minus 4x plus 1. So this is our parabola. Let's do our axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a. Oh, we didn't point out our a, b, and c. A is 1, b is negative 4, c is 1. So we have negative 4 over 2 times 1 equals 4 over 2 equals 2. So our axis of symmetry is x equals 2. Let's do our chart. 2 is our middle value. We do 3 below it and 3 above it. Let's use our calculator to find those values. Okay, it's x minus 2 squared minus 3. Let's go to table. Let's change our delta table back to 1. Second table set, delta table should be 1. Second table. Alright, so negative 1. I just want to make that the top. Alright. So we have 6, 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 2, 1, 6. Okay. There's our chart for our parabola. Now let's work on this linear equation. We have 2y plus 16 equals 4x. So let's subtract 16 from both sides first. 2y equals 4x minus 16, and let's divide everything by 2. Y equals 2x minus 8. So our m is 2, and our b is negative 8. Okay. Y-axis. X, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. Okay. 1, 1, negative 1, negative 1. Line of symmetry is x equals 2. Axis of symmetry, x equals 2. Let's plot our parabola points. I'm going to start with the vertex at 2, negative 3. Then I have 1, negative 2, and 3, negative 2. I have 0, 1, and 4, 1. And negative 1, 6, and 5, 6. Let me just draw in my parabola here. So this is y equals x minus 2 squared minus 3. Okay, now let's put in our line. The b is negative 8. And my slope is 2, which is 2 over 1, which is up 2 and to the right 1. So up 2 and to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2. It looks like I'm just going to graze, or I'm going to just touch that one point on the parabola. So I'm just going to be tangent to that parabola at that one point of intersection, which is 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2. 3, comma, negative 2 in quadrant 4. Okay? So, let's check it. Two x minus 8. Graph. It looks good. Let's go to our table. So at 3, each y should be negative 2, which it is. See that? And at no other values are the y's the same, because we only have one solution. Now let's go to second calculate and the intersect, and let's check that intersection. I'm going to move my blinking cursor to near that intersection, hit enter, 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 and it gives me 2.99999, which is close enough to 3, and negative 2.000002, which is close enough to negative 2. So you can count that as 3 comma negative 2. Okay? Now let's also check it by hand. We only have one point, which is nice. Three comma negative 2. Let's check it in the first one. Y equals x minus 2 squared minus 3. So negative 2 equals 3 minus 2 squared minus 3. Negative 2 equals 1 squared minus 3. Negative 2 equals 1 minus 3. Negative 2 equals negative 2. And it checks. Alright, and I'm going to do the next one right under it. 3 comma negative 2. And I'm checking it in 2y plus 16 equals 4x. 2 times negative 2 plus 16 equals 4 times 3. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and negative 4 plus 16 is 12, and 4 times 3 is 12, so it checks. So now I'm just going to clean up my table. Okay. That's number 16. All right. Now, on to the last one. Number 17, new sheet. Last problem in this topic. Last new problem of the year. Last problem before Regents Review. Congratulations. 5.5. Line down the middle. Number 17. Solve the following system of equations graphically. First one, x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 25. And then we have 2y plus 4 equals negative x. Okay? So, this top one is not a parabola, it's a circle. Right? And we know that because we have two variables that are squared. The x term is squared and the y term is squared. So let's write down the general form for the equation of a circle. That's the general form. Now underneath that I want to write down our equation. So we can line things up. Alright? Now, let's do our center first, right? Our center is h comma k, which in this case our h, now h is the second thing in the parentheses, but there's got to be a minus before it, and in ours there's a plus before it, so that means we change the sign of that plus 3 to a minus 3. So this h is a minus 3, and the k is 2, because look, y minus minus k is 2. So that's the center of our circle. Okay? Now, r squared is 25. So let's find r. The square root of r squared equals the square root of 25. The square root cancels the squared. So r is the square root of 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So therefore our radius is 5. So we can now graph our circle because we know the center and the radius. But first let's just fix up this linear equation. We have 2y plus 4 equals negative x. This is obviously our linear. Nothing is squared. Let's subtract 4 from both sides. 2y equals negative x minus 4. Divide everything by 2. Y equals, this is a negative 1/2 x. And this is minus 4 over 2 is minus 2. So our m is negative 1/2, and our b is negative 2. Okay, let's draw our graph. Y x, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. 1, 1, negative 1, negative 1. Okay. Now our circle is not centered at the origin like in the other problems. Our center is at negative 3, 2. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 1. Here's our center. And our radius is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can try and draw in a circle by hand, but it's going to come out, probably going to come out not that nice looking. So instead you should use the compass. There's your nice circle. Now, the line goes through negative 2, which looks like it crosses the circle, but we're not 100% sure about that. Okay? But it definitely looks like it crosses. And our slope is negative 1 over 2, so we go down 1 and to the right 2. Down 1 and to the right 2. Down 1 to the right 2. Down 1 to the right 2. Now we also go up 1 and to the left 2. Up 1 and to the left 2, up 1 and to the left 2, up 1 and to the left 2. Now I know that one crosses, okay, but because that's exactly 5 from my 5 to the left of my center. So I know that is 1 point. The other point, I'm not exactly sure what that is. So let's put the equation of the circle kind of going around the circle. Let's put the equation of the line on the line. Okay. Circle the two intersection points. Let's put down what we think they are for now. This first one here is a definite. And that's at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, comma, negative 8, comma, 2 in quadrant 2. And since we can't check with the calculator on the circle problems, let's put this down, this point right here for now, 0, negative 2, and when we check it by hand, we'll know if we got it right. So 0, negative 2 on y axis. Alright? So, just going to sharpen one of these pencils for a second. Hang on. Alright. Let's do our check. So first we'll check negative 8 comma 2 in the circle equation. X plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 25. So we have negative 8 plus 3 squared plus 2 minus 2 squared equals 25. Right? Negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5, so negative 5 squared plus 0 squared equals 25. And a negative 5 inside parentheses squared means negative 5 times negative 5, which is a positive 25. And 25 equals 25. So that one checks. Now let's check 0 comma negative 2 in the same equation. We got 0 plus 3 squared plus negative 2 minus 2 squared equals 25. So this is 3 squared plus negative 4 in parentheses squared equals 25. 3 squared is 9 plus, again, a negative 4 inside parentheses squared means negative 4 times negative 4. So that's a positive 16. And 9 plus 16 is 25. So 25 equals 25. So we know that point checks out so far. They both check out in the first equation, but we have to check the second equation as well. So let's check negative 8 comma 2 in the second equation. 2y plus 4 equals negative x. 2 times 2 plus 4 equals negative 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. And 8 equals negative 8 is 8. So that checks. Now let's also check the point 0 comma negative 2 in the same equation. 2 times negative 2 plus 4 equals negative 0. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and negative 4 plus 4 is 0, and negative 0 is 0, so 0 equals 0. So it checked out, okay? Now if you wouldn't have used a compass there, you might not have known that that point crossed there, because your circle probably would not have come out that good. Okay, using the compass really helped us a lot in this problem. So we're almost done. We just have to clean this one up a little bit. Okay. So that is the end of the last problem. Okay? Now we just